Welcome to the Edge of Greatness podcast.
I recently heard you give a speech where you were talking about how you hope to see the OSU-Michigan rivalry get to a 500 or better record. What I want to know is, when you first started at OSU, the record was 56, 35, and 6. It's currently now 58, 51, and 6. What thoughts and emotions come to mind when you look at what's happened over the last 19 years, going 16 and 2, to make it possible today to see that rivalry get to an even position? Because I believe personally that without you changing the culture of how we looked at that game and how we approach that game, we may not be able to see that 500 record even get close, because they had a huge lead. They seem to have all the momentum. But again, you came in, you made some changes, and you did something special that's now carrying into an opportunity where Coach Day can potentially even it up. So what do you feel when you hear something like that?
You know, I think you have to be realistic and humble enough to understand that there were a lot of things that happened before we got there.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like to point to three turning points in the rivalry. One happened way back in 1941 when Paul Brown was hired as the coach at Ohio State. He was an Ohio high school coach. And that began the move toward being able to recruit many of the best players, most of the best players from Ohio. Prior to 1941, and I don't know what our win-loss record leading up to 41 was against Michigan, but it
wasn't good.
Bad. It was bad. He started that going. Now, obviously, when Woody was there that long time, it was a battle. He had the 10-year war with Bo, and I think he was like 16 and 11 or something, but he got at least moving in the right direction. The second thing that happened that I think was pivotal was when Andy Geiger came to Ohio State in 1993 or so, and he came from Stanford, and he convinced the people in Columbus and at Ohio State is that they didn't even know how good they could be, but they better get their facilities caught up. Ohio Stadium was a little tired, a little old. We didn't have a great training facility. We had a lot of sports and they were kind of crammed together and it wasn't a good setting. And so when he came, he really spearheaded about $200 and some million renovation of Ohio Stadium, made it the greatest stadium in the country. That's a big start. He built the Jesse Owens track, the Bill Davis baseball, the Steelwood gymnastics, the boathouse out on Scioto River, and all of a sudden, a few years later, we become national champions in rowing. $35 million improvement to the Woody Hayes Center. So from about 93 to 2004, the facilities at Ohio State became better than anywhere in the country. I think that was pivotal. And then the third pivotal and final pivotal, in my mind, that gave us a chance to really get on a roll was beginning with the 2002 recruiting class. The best players stayed in Ohio.
Yeah.
And it used to be, if you look back in history, that the captains and the All-Americans at Michigan were Ohio guys. And so when that stopped, and it fortunately has continued to be stopped now for about 18 or 19 years, when you have people who it's important to them because that's their state, and Ryan and Urban did a great job recruiting out of state too, but they kept the door closed from Michigan taking, the difference makers, up there. And so if you add all those things together, I think that's given us a chance. Now, 58 and 51, is that what you said it is now?
58, 51, and 6. Yep, we're right there.
So 7, to make up 7 years isn't a layup.
No,
because Michigan should be good. I mean, they have no reason not to be, but we have a chance. And so that's why I made that comment when Ryan and I were together at an event here in Youngstown, and we were just having some fun. And so I said, I've got one goal left in mind, and that's to be able to see that day.
Yeah, no, I think that's fun. I think that's a cool way to get them fired up, to keep moving the needle. because like you said, it could take a while. I mean, it's a bitter rivalry. It's always hard fought, and it's not necessarily going to be something that's going to easily happen. But hopefully, like you said, we keep the in-state guys here and we keep pushing that ball and we find our way to that 500 record, because I think that would be a neat thing to see myself.
Thank you for joining us today on the Edge of Greatness podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and join us again next time as we continue to dig deeper into the key components of greatness. The path to greatness is never linear, so remember to keep pursuing greatness no matter what. Keep stretching your abilities, reach for the stars, and fall flat on your face. But no matter what happens, remember, whenever we fall, always get up. Until next time, I'm Charles Schultz, and this was the Edge of Greatness podcast.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Please take a moment now to subscribe, rate, and review our show. We are all on the edge of greatness.